I just want to check one thing. So 23rd of Feb 2023, you said by end of Labour's first term we'll deliver the highest sustained growth in the G7. That critical phrase, by the end of Labour's first term, was not in the plan for change. Is it still the goal to deliver the highest sustained growth in the G7 by the end of this Parliament?
Yes, it is. And
that's obviously not what the forecasters are predicting, but your goal is then to beat those forecasts.
Yeah, the forecasters are predicting on the back of the circumstances as they now are. They're not, as you know, they're not able to take yet into account things that haven't happened. So if you look at the planning changes, if you look at the regulation changes that we're putting in place, the technology, they can't take account of those until we've done them.
Yeah.
But I am absolutely clear that our ambition is beyond what the forecast growth is.
Yeah.
But that was the plan for change was essentially turning that into milestones that are more easily articulated for people in their living room, in their kitchen.
I just want to pin this down. So the IMF by 2029 has us at about the third in the G7, behind Canada and the US. You're telling the committee today our goal is to beat both the US and Canada and be top of that league table by the end of this Parliament.
High sustained growth, that was what we set out in the manifesto. That's what we recommitted to in the plan for change.
Yeah.
That'll obviously be a line on a graph, a really important line on a graph.
Sure. Yeah.
But I also want to make it clear for voters, for the public, that what that translates into for them is feeling better off.
Yeah.
That they've got more money in their front pocket, if you like.
But you've not put numbers on that ambition, I don't think. You've just said you want to see real household income go up. I think we've delivered that in every Parliament since 1955. So are you going to put numbers on that, how much better off people will feel?
Well, there are two elements to it. There's the disposable income, which has gone up, but it didn't go up very much in the last Parliament. I think something like 0.2%, so it didn't go up materially. The other aspect is productivity, GDP per capita. That certainly hasn't been going up. Yeah. It's a big part of the problem. We want to put the two together in our measure and drive both of them up. So that has not been achieved in previous parliaments, and therefore it's a very ambitious thing to go for. That's why we've set it out. It's consistent with the highest sustained growth in the G7.
So we're going to need to really unleash business potential in order to hit that ambition, as you yourself have said. And my committee's been talking to hundreds of businesses over the last month. What they say to me really clearly is that the combined impact of the national insurance contribution rise, plus the employment rights bill, plus the national minimum wage, are all going to mean that they are cutting investment, cutting workforce, and cutting wages next year. I mean, in retrospect, was it the world's best idea to put all three of those things together and land it next year? And is there now a way to assuage some of that pain?
Well, the first thing I'd say is this. The investment was appalling. The economy was broken. And there was a £22 billion black hole when we did the audit of the books. The Chancellor and I had to take a decision. Do we pretend that's not there, walk past it, carry on with the fiction, or do we fix the foundations? I felt very strongly we should fix the foundations and do the difficult stuff first. We then obviously had to look at where are we going to get the money to fill the black hole, put the investment in that we need. The Chancellor and I felt very strongly that working people have been hit really hard in their pockets over the last few years, one of the worst cost of living crises we've had for a very, very long time. And that therefore we took the decision that we wouldn't hit them in the pay packet. And so there would be no more income tax, national insurance or VAT for working
But we're landing three big changes at the same time. I think that's what's causing the howls of pain.
Yep. So then obviously that leaves you very few places to go for tax rises. Nobody wants tax rises. We didn't want to impose this tax rise. I didn't want to inherit the circumstances we inherited, but we did. And I felt it was better for us to fix the foundations in this budget in one go, so we did. So far as the impact on businesses is concerned, obviously we've alleviated that with support for small businesses in particular, and creating the conditions for growth which will be good for all businesses. But the political landscape was pretty bleak and we had to put the investment in. And that has allowed us to invest in, amongst other things, the health service, which of course will help us get back people into work. We've got a lot of people out of work on long-term sick.
I think what business is really asking for now is a plan for growth.
Yeah.
And they're struggling to see that. I appreciate the long-term virtues of the investment plan that the Chancellor has set out. The challenge is that it's all quite long-term, and in the long term we're all dead. And actually what is needed for the business community is help to grow now.
Yeah, I mean, what they've said to us, because the small business, in particular, business committee are really hugely important to this. We've been talking to them a lot. What they've said to us, small businesses in particular, is late payments are causing us a huge amount of problems. Therefore, we've put in place a strategy to deal with late payments. Getting loans out of banks is a real problem, so we've got that within our strategy, 250 million. Growth hubs where they can work with other businesses in their locality, so that's in our strategy. And then other work on management, innovation and exports is where they want, this reflects back to them, if you like, the support that they said they needed. And so that strategy is all there. And it's been very broadly welcomed. Thanks, Jim.
Well, just amongst the perils that we face next year is obviously now the looming threat of tariffs. So what are you going to do to dissuade President-elect Trump from imposing tariffs on the UK?
Well, I'm not going to speculate as to what he is going to do. It won't come as any surprise to you that I'm not a fan of tariffs, and therefore we have to make sure that we avoid tariffs. We've got very good trade with the US, as we've got very good trade with other countries around the world. I want to improve on that, and as you will know, I had a meeting with President Trump in September in New York. I've had a number of
Did you discuss this?
Since, and including one yesterday. I won't go into the details of what we discussed, but am I alive to the danger of tariffs? Yes, of course. I'm against tariffs, but I'm not going to speculate as to what the incoming president might do.
You are committed to introducing or negotiating an SPS, a closer veterinary deal with the EU. That would probably rule out a grand bargain free trade deal with the United States, because we couldn't include something on agriculture in such a bargain. How are you going to put the two deals together, with Europe on the one hand and the United States on the other?
Well, I think that we can pursue both. I don't accept the argument that you've got to either be with the US or be with the EU. That isn't how it works at the moment with our current trade. We do want a closer relationship with the EU on security, on defence, on energy, and yes, on trade. And I've set out how we want to reset on a number of occasions. At the same time, I want to improve our trading relationships with the US. Is that going to be easy? Of course it's not. Do I think we can make progress? Yes, I do. That's among the reasons that I'm making sure we've got a good relationship with the incoming president, and that the relationship between our two countries remains as strong in the future as it has been in the past.
Thank you very much.